Test. Okay, my name is Mel Jacob, and today I'm here to talk about a tale of 5 lease options, exits, and equity. I've been wanting to do this for a while now, but it's going to be an overview of the 5 different exits we've taken with 5 different homes that we purchased in late 2019. So who are we? We're Jacob Associates. My husband and I have started investing in non-performing notes in 2018. We are from Metro Detroit. Currently, Phil is employed at Ford Motor Company. I'm a registered dietitian and a serial entrepreneur who I have reinvented myself basically after my husband twisted my arm a bit to get into real estate. We've been on quite a journey in our note investing. Today we're talking about our lease options, and now we've actually pivoted about a year ago into multifamily investing. The good news is during COVID, where everybody had to adapt, we were able to move all of our non-performing notes into a performing portfolio. Part of our why is we really love traveling. And this is a picture of my daughter and Phil on an elephant in Thailand. We actually were able to travel all around Asia when we were over in China, assigned for and as Phil was assigned over there with Ford. So that's part of our why we have so many more of these beautiful pictures. So we've had quite the journey, I have to say. We started out in non-performing notes, non-performing CFDs, we purchased those. We purchased performing CFDs and performing notes and lease options. And our lease option journey has taken us into some local rental. And now we're looking for our first multifamily deal. So I guess I would say when you enter real estate with notes, you get exposed to everything. So today I'm going to talk about finding the deals, aligning with our investor goals, staying true to our values and goals, and finding reliable partners. And at the end, I'll finish up with lessons learned. So back in 2000, I think it was 19, I went to a big conference. It's called the Distressed Debt Expo in California, IMN. It led me to meet one of the hedge fund managers. A lot of times, a lot of social events are held after the expo, and I went to one of these taco nights, and this gentleman was selling like 200 or more CFDs. And they're land contracts in a variety of states. So I put Phil on on his, what he does best, which is analyze deals and the numbers. And we ended up purchasing, we bet on, I think 6 at the final hour. We had 5 left. And eventually we closed on these, and these have all been really good performing land contracts. But you have to be open to new opportunities. So after we had closed on these 5, what happened was the seller said, hey, I have a group of lease options. Would you be interested in these? And we didn't really have much experience, but we had been building up our portfolio and working with our investors. And one of our investors, our main investor, said, hey, I really want to hold rental, a rental portfolio in my IRA. And we were like, okay, we were thinking it was going to be like, no. So we ended up saying, okay, we've established our relationship with you. We have our track record. We've been communicating, we've been distributing back the investment returns that we get every quarter. So we were like, okay, let's be open. Well, we were sort of given an opportunity to purchase. We're given a big list in many states, but we said, hey, if we're going to purchase homes that could be like rentals in a way, why don't we keep them in our own backyard? So we purchased these 5 lease options, and these contracts were written about 7 years ago. And so the value of the I guess the option to purchase was set like 7 years ago. So the price points of these houses where now the equity had improved significantly. So the investment to value was very good, because if these deals went bad, we'd have a lot of value. But also the purchase price of which we were able to get them at, which was like 50% of the price that they had quoted for them to buy them at. And each month, each one of these assets were paying into their option of purchase. So they were paying a small amount in every month, and then their purchase price was slowly lowering each month. So we picked these assets because they were in our backyard, and also because we wanted to make sure that they were all in their last 2 years. We didn't want to hold assets that were only going to maybe double our money if we had to wait like a long time. So we were like, okay, let's pick something there in there, and all of these have closed out of their lease option at this point. So I'm here to tell you a little bit of the tale of these lease options. So the good news is we tried to stay true to our values and goals, and we really, with notes, we really want to keep people in their homes. And every one of these tenant occupants had the opportunity to buy the house. Well, this first couple actually went to a bank because they were both employed and they had good credit scores. They went and they got funding and they purchased their house with bank funding. And this makes me feel so happy, because part of it is that they are able to, provide generational wealth now, because they had the equity and they had the kind of the commitment to follow through. The second family, actually, this gentleman, there was a problem with some bankruptcy because of a medical concern. So what we had to do here was we had to become the bank. And so we were able to qualify the borrower through RMLO, and we were able to provide a land contract and make sure that he qualified and they qualified for the land contract. And we didn't have any risk in this because the value of the investment was double, as well as the interest rate that we put on it. And then if they do default, we have the home in our entity name, and which is valued way over 100,000 at this point. And let's just say I won't know if I'll give you all the numbers, but I'm going to give you the estimates of how much we've invested. So here we are. Each one of these houses had a different exit. So like I mentioned, one sold with bank funding, one sold with seller financing. One, we reached out to the borrower. Her exit was about to come about in May of 2020. It was COVID. She was diagnosed with COVID, and she was in a rehab facility. We started communicating with her son, trying to set up an adapted, extended lease option close date, because we were trying to collaborate with her. She was interested in buying the house. They paid one more payment, and then they just went dark. So I was, working with an attorney at this point because of COVID and the lack of ability to foreclose or evict. And it wouldn't be a foreclosure, be an eviction. We just had to just wait. And one day I just was like, okay, the water bill isn't really moving. I wonder if they're even there. So I went, looked through the windows, went to the backyard, just realized that the place was abandoned. So January of 2020, actually January 2021, I started a rehab. I've never rehabbed a house. I hired a team. I supervised the contractors. I purchased all the stuff. I never went to Home Depot and Lowe's and Menards more in 1 or 2 months than I've ever been in my lifetime. I really did it as a sort of a stress management tool to get out of the house during COVID. And it actually was I learned a lot. So there's a lot of lessons learned that. But I learned after the next house became empty, we basically had to take the next house, and we extended the agreement for a whole year because of COVID. And by that next year, they still were defaulted, and we ended up taking this house, and we used a property management team to rehab the whole house, and it is currently rented. So currently the middle one is rented and the bottom left one is rented, bottom right one is rented. And the top right one right now is just expired, and we are planning to sell it as is. So finding reliable partners. Basically, Reed Starkey of Propel Property Management was our third property management team. Initially, I was told, just manage it yourself. Well, I wasn't really skilled. I mean, I use note servicing companies, so I was not really skilled in property management servicing. And these lease options actually require that the tenant occupant actually make all the repairs themselves and manage everything. So it was like, you know, their payment went to taxes, insurance, and rent, and their options. So there wasn't a whole lot of return in the payments they were making each month. But then COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, it required a whole new level of involvement. And so the key thing here is that, you know, you have to use you have to build a team and vet your property management team. So here, you know, coming from our experience as note buyers, we were used to all of these different steps, and we had processes in place for all of these things, including when some property becomes, you know, it becomes an REO, or actually at this point, it becomes empty and we own the property. And now we need to come up with strategy. So we never really, you know, because our investor had said, hey, I'd really like to hold some rental properties in my IRA, we were open to that. And so we actually turned those ones that we took back into rental properties. And we were able to offer a seller carry note for one. We were able to, you know, use an RMLO. We were able to do because of their note experience, we were able to manage in a certain way many exits that were involved with these deals. So I guess the conclusion here, as we go to the ending here, I've learned a lot, and I try to write the upside and the downside. And basically it's the time value of money that I was really looking at. My time, our investors' money, the value of each. And, you know, I still think notes investing has a lot of upside because you use a servicer, it's low touch, you have better return on your time. There really wasn't any COVID impact for our notes that were performing. We get payoffs, and basically it trained us for lease options. So the problem for us was our property management was hit or miss. It took us 3 property managers to find someone that would actually do the job that we needed them to do. It required more high touch. So when, you know, they stopped paying, I had to be involved like a servicer, and I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't really kind of prepared for that. So it took more time. And so there was less return on less return on investment regarding time. And with the COVID impact and the eviction moratorium, we were really, you know, sort of strapped. We spent a lot of money on legal fees because we didn't want to actually do the wrong thing with these borrower tenants. So, but the upside is that when we rehab the properties, there is a ton of equity and growth. And if I were to basically do the investment to value today, our investment is probably somewhere around 30% of the value that we have in this deal. So diversifying, basically it gave us some diversification. I would have been really bored during COVID if we just had our performing notes to manage, which is not a whole lot of work. We had a couple non-performers that were in the midst of the exits, but we weren't really buying any new notes or anything at that time. Pretty much everything had shut down, and the inventory had, you know, was closing up. So basically in our backyard, the upside was that we were in our backyard. So all of these houses, except one, was within 25 minutes away. So we were able to build teams eventually with the right property management team. And, we learn now that, rentals bring less immediate return, but they can sell for a profit. And so I think long-term, what are some of the lessons we've learned of the tale of five homes? First thing is be ready to pivot. We have to be ready to pivot when, when COVID hit, I think people were all like sort of shocked, but we actually, because we had made that pivot in at the end of 2019, sort of unknowingly before COVID, we had actually a lot of work to do. And we were happy. I think we were happy that we actually did this because it helped us grow. I think we now know what it means to vet our property management team. And with two field property management groups, it was very expensive, very painful, and very cumbersome. And to switch in 3 times as it relates to even your tenant occupants, it becomes very difficult. Delegate with your weaknesses. So even though I was able to learn how to rehab a little bit, get involved, it took me probably double the amount of time that it took my property manager to do it. Probably the same amount of money, but double the amount of time. And remember, time and money, you're always trying to balance this. I think if we would have assessed our borrowers early, we could have actually known the exits, because the seller, when we bought these 5 houses, the seller, which we closed at a title company, which was very smart with warranty deeds, the seller provided the credit scores and things. So we could have actually assessed our borrowers a little sooner. And, the other thing is, we have to know when to sell. And that's what we're learning right now. We're going to be selling because the market is so good. We're going to sell our last house for cash as is. And we're hoping to leverage our experience and the equity that we built up in this deal to move on to bigger and better deals. So with that, I just want to close on about the tale of 5 lease option homes. Please continue the conversation. Sign up for our newsletter at bit.ly/PJA blog. You can go to our Calendly link and set up a short call. You can give us a ring. You can like us on Facebook. And of course, Bill is best contacted through his LinkedIn profile. So thank you so much. And hopefully you've enjoyed our lessons learned, and you can gain a little insight from all of our wisdom that we've been able to get. Thank you.